Right, I'd like to welcome you to this quick video. Well, it may not be quick, it may be, I haven't got a clue how long it's going to take, but what we're going to do in here is I'm going to teach you how to set up Claude the right way. Okay, now this is a companion course really for a consultancy, for another free course, which you can get if you look in the description, and you'll see a link to it, and that contains all the prompts that I'm going to use in here, and it will show you step by step how to do this. Obviously I can't really teach you that well just on a video because you need the files as well, but in this I'm going to show you how you do it. Okay, but what I want to show you is the theory behind this. So what we're going to do is, this is going to be in two parts. We're going to have part one, which is going to be the theory, and I'm going to show you how the theory really on how you've got to do this. And then I'm going to show you part two. I'm going to move over to Claude and I'm going to give you all the prompts to do it, right? So, because you've got to understand why you're doing it. So let's just start off. Here, this is 10 pages really on how to use Claude properly. Right. What you don't want to be doing is you don't want generic answers. You're a consultant and you need answers that are going to be relative to your company. Now, what I want you to think about is, say you were to take on a member of staff, you were to take on a salesperson, a marketing person, or something like this. You would have to train them up to understand your business, right? And the same is with Claude, okay? So because we do not want Claude to give generic answers. So if you don't set up Claude properly, what you really have is a very clever stranger. And it's basically going to answer on the average of everything it's read. It can't reference your clients or pricing, doesn't know your methodology, sounds like every AI output, etc. And it has to, and every single time you use the chat, you have to re-explain yourself. When you set it up properly, you've basically got a colleague at work, so it's going to have answers built on a specific business, knows your clients, offers and pricing, applies methodology by default, writes in your voice, not a generic tone, context loaded. You basically are going to load all the context in. You never have to re-explain it. So how do we do this? What we have to do first of all is we have to create a thing called a knowledge base. And the knowledge base is basically your business. Imagine it as like it's the brain, so it's going to it will then know everything about you. So what we do is we're going to have PDF documents in there. These are going to be reports, guides, past proposals. We're going to have like plain text documents. These are going to be notes, instructions, snippets. We're going to put your web pages in there so it can reference them. We then got Word documents, profiles, briefs, write-ups. We have spreadsheets, client lists, pricing tables, etc. Past text, anything dropped in, pasted text, anything dropped in directly. And this is the knowledge base that we're going to build out. So the project, this is the consultant's workspace. A project, what we do in Claude is we create a project. This will not be a chat, okay? So we're going to have a project for your consultancy. And a project is a workspace that holds your knowledge base and instructions. And then you then have chats within them. And it inherits the knowledge from the project straight away. So without a project, every chat starts cold. You have to paste your context in, explain who you are, get your answer. Then tomorrow you've got to do it all over again. Inside a project, every chat starts warm. So you open up a chat, knowledge base is already attached, instructions already applied, know your question, it can answer questions, etc. So we have three components of the project. We have the knowledge base, we have the instructions, we have the history, and we get all of these right, and then Claude stops just being a search box, right? So the knowledge base, what Claude knows, your client servicing positioning, project instructions, how Claude acts, the standing brief, every chat inherits. Then you've got the chat history, what you've discussed, your conversations kept together. So what do we put in the knowledge base? We're going to put your business profile. This is who you are, what the consultancy does, the shape of the business, the orientation documents, services and offers, what you sell, engagement types, deliverables, pricing, in and out of scope. We then have the ideal client profile, and this is the most important document, this to show exactly who you serve, the industry role, problems and triggers. We then have positioning and voice, what makes the obvious choice, how you sound, so sound isn't generic AI. How Claude retrieves what it needs, RAG. Claude doesn't read the whole knowledge base every time. It retrieves relevant paths, which is why structure matters. So what happens is we ask a question, you ask a question inside the project, Claude searches, it scans your documents, it pulls the parts, it retrieves what's relevant, and then it answers using your context. Tidy documents, one topic each, clean retrieval. On paid plans, this expands your capacity roughly tenfold. Project instructions, the always on brief. Once the brief is written, every chat in the project starts with what is already applied. So we have a new chat, proposal. So we have the project instructions, right? Which is the role, tone, use of knowledge base, ask when unsure. So say we open up a new chat, right? And this is for a proposal. You will already have a brief and a template that will already be applied, okay? Because it's taking it from the project. New chat, client, email. So you want to write an email out, a newsletter. The brief is already applied. We want content ideas in another chat window. It's all, again, already applied. A decision. So we could ask Claude, what do you think of this? Bang, again. One project or many. The test is simple. Different knowledge base or different task. Right. Would the knowledge base be meaningful different? And you ask this every time. If it's no, use the same knowledge base. So say like, say for your consultancy, you have two different types of consultancy. You would have, and you don't want like you have a different pricing on one or something like that. That isn't the same knowledge base, right? So you sit there and say, would the knowledge base be meaningfully different? If there's any differences, you create a new knowledge base, okay? So it could be the same business, different job. If you're going to use the same knowledge base, it will be same business, different job. So you could open up a window, a chat window for a client. If it's the same sector, you know what I mean, you are operating in. If it's a new project and it's got a distinct service line with its own clients and voice, a single large client split, but you split it up, okay? How do we keep the knowledge base alive? The knowledge base is a living asset, not a one-time job. 10 minutes a week keeps the whole system sharp. So something changes, a new client type, price adjustment, lesson learned on engagement, you then just upload it to the knowledge base. You notice it, weekly review prompt on page 19. That's the page 19 that's where we're going to go. We have a weekly review prompt on there, okay, which is where we're going to put in, and that's on page 19. Obviously you can go through if you want these, right? You just download them on the link in there. You update, add it to the right document. Claude even drafts the addition. Claude stays sharp. The setup never drifts out of date a little often. The mistakes that waste the setup. Most consultants that try this fail miserably with the same 5 mistakes. Know them now, skip the frustration. One giant file. Everything dumped onto a single document. Claude retrieves badly. We want it split into focused files with one topic. So don't just get like one big file with everything on there. Split everything up. I'm going to show you how to do this, okay? So don't worry. The vague ICP, I help businesses grow, is not an ICP means ideal client profile. Generic in, generic out. Be uncomfortably specific. Skipping the instructions. A knowledge base with no project instructions mean Claude knows your business, but not how to act in it. Set once and forget. Built once, never updated, out of date within months. 10 minutes a week prevents this. Re-explaining away. Building the project, then pasting context out of habit. Trust the setup, that's the whole point. Right, so now let's work onto the prompt. And what we're going to do is, this is going to be prompt number 1. So what we do is we go over to Claude. And this is the project. You can see down the left-hand side, projects, you just click on that. And we're going to do new project. Claude. And just write whatever it is down here. So you could call it, your knowledge base for your consultancy, whatever. Now, what we've got here, memory, that is what it's memorizing down the instructions, files. There are files that you can upload. So you can upload. In a lot of these demos, I show you how to basically install a knowledge base by uploading files. Oh yeah, I do a lot of demos. Like some, I will just upload it via files. In this today, we're going to do it via prompts. So I've got that prompt here. I've also created this, and these are pre-written answers, right? So I have created these for Jordan Mills, a B2B. I'm not called Jordan, but whatever. But these are the question answers. So you can have a look at the answers, because it's going to start asking you questions, okay, when we do this first prompt. So let's just have a look at the first prompt. I'm setting up a Claude project for my consultancy, and I need a business profile document for its knowledge base. Interview me one question at a time to build it, cover what my consultancy does, how long I've been running it. So it's going to ask you a load of questions, right? And then basically you then just go around and you do it. So I have created the answers here, as I can't be bothered to. So you can go and have a look at the questions that I have. It should do them in this order. I'm actually going to try and cheat and just do it all in one go. So that should have helped it. Right, so what we then do is we just keep going through. And here is your ideal client profile. And you then put that in. And basically you just work through this. This will take you about an hour to do, I reckon. But I've given you all the answers that you're going to need, okay? Well, you go and get these in. You then go and transfer them over. So it's going to continue to ask you questions about your business, right? I'm trying to do it quicker because this will take you a bit of time, okay? We then have the services question. just go in and get the document, right? And copy it. So now, what have we done so far? We've built out the ideal client profile. We've shown Claude the offer. We now get the positioning and voice answers because we want it to talk in your voice. So you basically go and get that prompt, capture your positioning and voice. Even though I'm doing this quick. So capture your positioning and voice. So what do we now have? We've got, it now knows the ideal client profile, projects, the services we offer. And this is the project instructions. And we need to get it. We want Claude to write the project instructions, okay? This is the one thing. If you actually write prompts, never ever write prompts. I get Claude to write the prompts. I sit there and say, I want this prompt, and then get it to do like so it's continuing to push back stuff like that. Oh, I really like if you it would take ages. And you get the project instructions. You shouldn't really actually ignore Claude. I am kind of ignoring him because I'm trying to do this quickly. Right, what we're now going to do is stress test this. So Claude now has all the details in there to work. It knows everything about your company, but we need to stress test it. So you can see here, Mills operations, project instructions. So it understands the role, it understands the tone, the sources, etc. And that's what it did come out with that. So when I sat there and said role, see finished example, what Claude should reproduce. You can see it reproduced it there. There it is, project instructions. And you can see it's reproduced the correct thing there. Okay, so it's saying there's no knowledge base for me to read. Okay, it's kind of doing that because basically I've been really rushing through it. So see, because it's pushing back and I'm doing this like way too quickly. It's done it quick. But can you see what we've actually done? So let's have a look at today. So now that it's done in, Okay, so we've now got the projects, right? Knowledge base demo. Let's create a chat within the, let's sit here. I need to write a proposal for a client using my services, positioning voice from this project. It will now so now it's going to interview me with regard to the client. So let's just say, for example, we had written client notes, right? So give me the basics, client name, what they do, roughly the size, head count. What you would do here is you would import, so you do add a file, add files or photos, and you can pull it over the documentation from the talk that you've had, right? With the client. It will then write you the proposal. Do you see what I mean? And it can do this now, and it will do everything relevant to your consultancy because you've put the documents in and you've set up the knowledge base. So even though that is and you can do loads of other stuff, right? So you could sit there and then you then just put in, like, so if you need an email, it will write out the email for you, describe what you want. So we want LinkedIn posts. But this is basically how you create a knowledge base. Obviously, if you're going to do it, I've done this in like less than 10 minutes. I've fast forwarded over a load of things which I shouldn't have done. But all you have to do is systematically work through these prompts, and you've got the answers. You can go in and you can get these 2 files. You can go and get the answers from there. You know, how I did it on that one. So then just write these out for your company. Okay, if you want these 2 files, there is a course below. It's a free course. You just sign up and it'll get you there, called Setting Up Claude the Right Way. And you just get them from there. If you need any help, leave messages in the comments or whatever, and I'll get back to you. But that is how you set up Claude for a consultancy. I hope that's helped you.